Welcome to the Wednesday's video. I want us to consider the question that God put to Moses, and he simply said to him, "What's that in your hand?" Moses had been called by God. He'd called him at the burning bush while they were out looking after his father-in-law's sheep. And God spoke to him from the burning bush and said, "Moses, I've got a job for you, and that is I want you to go and to set my people free. You're going to go to Pharaoh and tell him to set my people free." Now, you might find this a little bit amusing, but do you know what? Moses made all sorts of excuses. He doesn't have enough knowledge. People wouldn't listen to him. He came out with all sorts of excuses. Now, I know that makes you smile, because when God speaks to us, we don't make excuses, do we? We just get on with it. Can't understand Moses. Can't understand him at all. But there you go. Takes all sorts. So he makes all his excuses why he can't do what God's asked him to do. And so he gets to that stage where God says to him, "Moses, what's that in your hand?" And he says, it's a shepherd's staff. Just what I use looking after sheep. It's just a staff. And God says, "Throw it on the floor." So Moses threw the staff on the floor and it turned to a snake. And Moses were a bit startled by that, as you would be. You know, you can understand him. I'd run a mile personally. I can't stand snakes. But then God says to Moses, "Pick it up by the tail." And as soon as Moses picked it up by the tail, it turned back into a staff. And God says, these are sort of miracles that you'll do before Pharaoh. And so Moses knew that he was going to have to go to Pharaoh. But first he had to face that question from God. What is in your hand? And God asked that same question of us today. What's in your hand? And we said, "But Lord, I haven't got much in my hand in terms of I'm not very gifted. I've no real skills. I've no massive abilities either. And my resources are scarce, whether it be financial resources, material resources, any other resources. We haven't got many of them. So, Lord, there's not much in my hand." There's a couple of lessons here, I do believe, that God wants us to learn from this question, what is in your hand? God is not too interested, really, in your abilities, your gifts, skills, or lack of course, your lack of resources. God's not that interested in that. The point of it all is that God is more interested in your availability. Was Moses going to make himself available to be used by God? What's in your hand, Moses? Simply a staff. But God works a miracle. A couple of lessons here for us. The first one already touched on, that God, yes, he blesses us with skills and abilities, and we might talk them down, each of us do that. But God says, "I bless you with them and I want to use them." But it's not all about that. It's about your availability to give back to me what I've given to you. Your availability to serve me. Your availability to be my hands, my feet, etc. So when God asks you that question, and he asks me that question, what's in your hand? He's actually saying, what's your availability like in serving me? The second lesson is that while ever Moses had got the staff in his hand, it was a shepherd's staff. As soon as he did what God asked him to do, it became a snake. Did Moses do that? No, he didn't. Who worked the miracle? God worked the miracle. And you know, when we become more available to God, he works the miracles. He does things that we can't. All he asks of us is, what's in your hand? Give it to me. Be available to me, and I'll do the rest. Wonderful news for us. God bless you.